Zeb Wise is out. Justin Peck is in. We'll dive into that, plus where we stand on how 2025 fields are shaping up for the Outlaws and High Limit, Pennsboro's successful soft opening, weekend results, and more. Let's go. It's Sunday, October 27th. I'm Justin Fiedler. This is DIRTRACKR Daily presented by Kubota Genuine Parts. So since our Thursday show, we've had some more sprint car ride changes, which were not completely unexpected. Going back to Trophy Cup at Tulare, we knew that Trey Starks took over the seat of the Rudeen 26 sprint car for that event, and that Zeb Wise's status was in question following a difficult high limit season. Zeb took down the final championship in the history of the All-Star Circuit of Champions in 2023, and we thought he and that team would be regular contenders with High Limit in 2024. That never materialized, though, and just 2 top 5s and 17 top 10s in 51 races saw the 26th 11th in the High Limit standings. They went from an 11-win season in 2023, including 9 with the All-Stars, 1 Outlaw show, and a Williams Grove local race, to just a single victory in 2024 that was a Super Dirt Cup Prelim Skagit. The Starks deal at Trophy Cup, not a good sign for Zeb's future with the team, and it was announced officially back on Friday that he was out. In the lead up to the announcement, there were a few rumors that I got sent that Rudeen may possibly run 2 cars in 2025, but I have no idea if that was ever seriously considered. And then just about 24 hours after the announcement of Zeb's departure, Rudeen Racing confirmed the hire of Justin Peck to fill that seat of that ride going forward. There were no other details given by the team, but in an interview with Jeremy Elliott at SprintCarUnlimited.com, Peck revealed he'll be in the car for the Short Track Nationals at Texarkana 67 this coming weekend and at World Finals in a few weeks. They will then again compete for the full High Limit run in 2025 in search of a charter. Peck was available because in the aftermath of his departure from the Buick 13, his expected deal with CJB Motorsports fell apart at the last minute. Buick is bringing in Days and Persley, and we're still awaiting official word on who will get the CJB5, although a lot of the chatter points to Brenham Crouch getting the seat. I told you guys last week that Peck had something in the works after Trophy Cup, and he confirmed to Jeremy a meeting with Rudeen crew chief Tyler Tessemaker and team owner Kevin Rudeen at that event. The deal was supposedly put together at that meeting. Peck was 6th in the High Limit standings this year with a win, 15 top 5s, and 30 top 10s in 51 races. I think for having lost his deal and being put into scramble mode, this is a solid landing spot for Peck. Rudeen doesn't lack for resources, although I know a lot of fans still question how good that Ford engine program is. I've been asked this before as well, but it's my understanding that the Ford engines Rudeen uses are the same TSR pieces that Donnie Schatz runs and not the Ford customer engines that were used by Chase Briscoe's sprint car team this year. Having seen Peck on the road for a full season already and knowing what he accomplished in the 13, the pressure here I think will be on the Rudeen squad to give Peck a car he can compete up front with every single night. Because to me, that's the question here right now with Zeb and Rudeen. Was this driver issues? Was this team issues? Or some combination of both? High Limit was no doubt tougher than the All-Stars, but this team clearly took a step back. What's next for Zeb in his career, I don't know at this moment, and I don't think he does either. He shared to Twitter on Friday that he would know more about his plans in the coming weeks. Hopefully he finds a ride because I do think he's talented, and he's just a good dude on top of that. And looking at how the 2025 High Limit field is shaping up at this very early point, Peck and Rudeen now give us 4 confirmed High Limit cars, with them joining Buick with Persley, the Jason Myers 14 with Spencer Baston, and Brad Sweet all officially. I'd also expect Rico Abreu and Tyler Courtney to return, bringing that list up to 6. If Aaron Reitzel and Ridge make the move, then that would be 7. Questions still remain about Brent Marks, who confirmed via social media in recent days that he has yet to decide plans for 2025. We also don't know the future for the Roth 83, where the CJB5 will race, what Parker Price Miller will do, and plans for Jacob Allen and the Vermeer 55 with Chris Windom, with or without Chris Windom maybe. I would venture to guess that Tanner Thorson is another candidate likely to return, and we know that Casey Kane is pulling back to pick and choose, so he's off High Limit. What will happen with the Crouch team, I think, is a mystery as well. If Brenham does get the CJB car, this could be a landing spot for another driver, especially if they can bring funding. That team was potentially going to be 2 cars in 2024. Obviously, we never saw the 11 and just the one with Crouch, but this stuff is still there in their shop, and they could potentially still do a deal. So I think call it 8-ish right now for High Limit, and my guess at this point in October would be they likely get to 11 or 12 for next year, barring any massive surprises. On the Outlaw side, I know you guys will correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Cole Macedo and the 2C Racing Sprint Car are the only publicly confirmed team there for next year. But I've not heard of any major defections from this group for 2025, but I have heard a team or two maybe further down the order could fall off. My guess right now would be 12-ish again for next season with the Outlaws, with some possible additions if they do indeed end up losing a team or two from that current roster. All right, let's talk a little bit of weekend racing. It seemed like the return of Pennsboro Speedway went pretty well over the last few days. I saw they characterize it as a soft opening after their mad dash to get the facility raceable and ready for the fans over the final few weeks. They did have some weather to deal with, but the late model shows looked entertaining, especially with Devin Moran and Bobby Pierce throwing haymakers at each other. All of the talk about the narrow track not being good for racing ended up kind of being for nothing. And instead, it seemed like the narrow surface added to the action, especially as the leaders had to navigate lap traffic. Pierce ended up winning 2 of the 3 races, including the finale, and Moran scored the Makeup Friday feature. Pierce rebounded in that finale from an early flat tire to score the win. Car counts looked better than I expected. I saw 31 on the final day for late models, and I heard the crowds were solid all weekend. They did make some track changes after Thursday to widen out the surface a bit, and more changes are planned in the future. In a letter shared on Saturday, Barry Braun talked about extending bridges, building walls, adding permanent lighting, and more updates coming for the future. For a state that doesn't have West Virginia Motor Speedway anymore and Tyler County losing to Hillbilly 100, I think this could be a good chance for Pennsboro to really seize the attention there. This is a story we're obviously going to continue to follow. Other weekend late model winners included Mason Ziegler taking down the Keystone Cup at Bedford. He topped Max Blair for the richest win of his career. At Why Not, Tyler Erb and Ashton Winger swapped the lead multiple times, with Erb eventually coming out on top of the Fall Classic. Dalton Wilson was a $5,000 winner at Ponderosa, and Logan Robertson bagged $10,000 in crate action at Natural Bridge. At Riverside, the World of Outlaws sprint cars only ran 1 of 2 nights. Carson Macedo dominated that Friday feature, but the track took rubber. It was what Macedo needed to do for the championship, but with David Gravel finishing second behind him, he didn't make up the ground he really needed to. With just 3 nights left at World Finals and a gap of 74 points between the top 2, I'd say this is basically over. If Gravel still somehow managed to have some sort of a terrible weekend, multiple DNFs, Macedo is still mathematically in play, but I don't think that's likely. I also know folks were completely outraged on Saturday with the rainout. I've had a number of messages about that one, and there's been a lot of anger expressed on social media. Just based on some of the images I've seen, it does appear as though it was probably a quick call on the Outlaws' part to cancel this, with just not a lot of rain that ended up falling. But I have no idea all what went into that decision. As I've said before, weather issues, they always suck for everybody, and I definitely don't blame folks for being upset about not getting to see racing, but there's a lot of things on the line here. There's a lot of money at stake, and I wish people would kind of see the bigger picture in these instances. I know they don't, but I wish they would. I will say, though, the takes about the Outlaws being afraid of the locals and of the series trying to help Gravel secure the title are absolutely laughable. The series doesn't benefit by who wins the championship, and I challenge people who feel different to provide any sort of argument and evidence that supports that take. Also, Outlaw teams locked out the top 7 spots on Friday, and National Touring teams locked out the top 9 positions. Neither of those are real or legitimate reasons for the cancellation. The Outlaws are off now until World Finals. This coming week they'll be off, and then the week after that is World Finals. At Red Dirt Raceway, the final USAC sprint car wins of 2024 went to Matt Westphal and Justin Grant. Westphal catfished the smoke out of the bottom, hard charging from 13th to the win. He topped Kyle Cummins and Logan Seavey. Seavey's podium secured the USAC Sprint Car Championship for he and that Abacus team for this year. No season Triple Crown for Seavey in 2024, but he does now have the career Triple Crown. He joins Poncho Carter, Tony Stewart, Dave Darland, JJ Yaley, Jerry Coons Jr., Tracy Hines, and Chris Wyndham on that list of drivers who have won all 3 USAC national titles in their career. Justin Grant went 4th to the win last night. He topped Robert Ballou and Dazen Persley. So Sprint Cars Silver Crown now complete. Just the final West Coast Midget Swing remains for the USAC teams. In California, the NARC Championship, it's going to come down to the final laps between Justin Sanders and Cole Macedo. Sanders leads by 3 points headed to the final race this coming Saturday at Stockton. Macedo lost the lead with a crash Friday at Kern County, but pulled it back close with the Saturday win at Hanford. Tim Kading won that Friday race. At Babs Motor Speedway, Danny Dietrich topped Brent Marks in a wild one that saw those two make contact late in that race. And championship contenders Seth Bergman and Sam Haferteep split ASCS wins at RPM Speedway. In Northeast Modified action, Stuart Friesen won the Short Track Super Series race at Orange County Fair a few days ago, while Matt Shepard was crowned the North Region champion. Matt Williamson got the Eastern States Small Block win, while the Big Block show is today. As we close out, if you missed it, check out the video I posted back on Friday with some footage from the dirt track at Charlotte testing that went on this last week. It's available on the YouTube channel and Facebook. Outside of a quick intro, there's no talking, there's no music. It's just race cars and race car sounds. I hope you guys have a great Sunday out there. We'll see you back here tomorrow.